Welcome to Gerald Khalil's Conversation Piece. I share my thoughts on social content, sports, politics, and entertainment. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Around a month ago, I posted a video on how the NBA needed to change to recapture ratings according to the big media platforms. But if you take a closer look at the job that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has done over the years, you understand why the league is in the state it's in, and he's easily the worst commissioner in all of sports. Now, Silver's predecessor, David Stern, was known as a no-nonsense guy. When he first became commissioner, he came to a league that had a reputation of being drug-infested, and it had a spotty reputation due to the league's player makeup. The league was 75% black, and audiences didn't connect with the players. Also, the league's championship series was on tape delay. So you imagine today how that would be if it was two teams in the finals and you had to wait until late at night to watch a single game. It was unbelievable. I remember when I was a kid, I was watching, it was the 76ers versus the LA Lakers. And Magic Johnson was in his rookie season. And I'll never forget, I would have to wait until I believe like 10 or 11 o'clock at night in order to watch a game that was taped on tape delay. I would make sure I wouldn't listen to any news media outlets. I would make sure that nothing was taped, like VCR tapes that I had at the time, or my parents had at the time. And I will watch the game late at night. And that's how it was. And I know people who are born in the 90s forward are like, what? Tape delay? But that is exactly what happened then. And so also what Stern did, he implemented a league dress code to change the leaders of corporations' perception of players. So he had to do this because you figure these corporation leaders, mainly white men, and he had to convince these men to invest in a league that had mostly young black players. So he was able to do that. And later he began to market the league around star players as opposed to teams. Example of this, he began to market these players such as Magic and Bird. And what I remember, what he did, if you think Boston at the time was a very polarizing city, and it was very polarizing. Okay, I'll just leave it there. And Bird being a white superstar, a lot of white fans gravitated toward him, and black people, fans, they gravitated towards Magic Johnson. So Stern was smart enough to market around that. And so you had a team on the West Coast, a team on the East Coast. Both of those teams happened to battle it out very often in the NBA Finals. You had Bird versus Magic, and ratings started to go up. Later on, Jordan came, and everyone liked Jordan, whether you're white, black, whatever color you were. So that black-white Bird versus Magic thing kind of like went out the window when Jordan came, and the league just went to a whole nother level after that. Another thing, Stern, he wasn't afraid to get confrontational with owners. And one of the most important things he was able to do was to secure television deals to bring live games to households. So there was no more tape delay after that. And there were other things that he did to turn the league around, but all of the things he did turned the league into a global powerhouse. Now, Adam Silver, on the other hand, he bought the league backwards. And maybe that's unfair to say he bought the league backwards, but I think his complacency has led the league to go backwards. Now, here's some of his mishaps. Player empowerment. Okay, so there's too much of it, right? And I think a lot of folks will agree. And a lot of this stems from not so much load management, which I'll talk about that a little bit later, but the allowance of super teams. Now, they've pushed back on this super team concept, but it got to the point where, and it kind of started with LeBron James, right? Where, he would, and he would find loopholes to get to play on a team with other superstars, and so that team will be front loaded. And the bad part about that was that being a copycat league, all these teams, or as many teams that were trying to do it. And instead of having a bunch of competitive teams, you only had 8 or 10 competitive teams because all of these stars were on those teams. And it didn't make any sense for the other, say, 20 to 22 teams fans to watch those games for their team because, hey, what am I going to watch my team for? I don't know, let me pick a team, Sacramento Kings, because my team doesn't have a chance of winning, and all of these players are on these super teams. Also, which kind of brought the league backwards, in my opinion. I remember the whole LeBron James scenario where when he was playing for the Cavaliers, and there was a big media push to get him out of that market into a bigger market. And so it was like, how did those fans who rooted for the Cavaliers feel? Where you have the media pushing your player, your favorite player on your favorite team to go to another team. So that was really, to me, the beginning of a downfall for the NBA. Now, I mentioned that load management got out of control. They're trying to bring that back in a little bit. But once again, Adam Silver, he's being reactive in this, where you had Greg Popovich was actually the starter of this, where you would do it with the San Antonio Spurs. You would have Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and the rest of them. He would rest these players for particular games because these games weren't a game that wasn't that important, because he wanted to save their bodies. And the end result, now we flash forward to today, is that load management really does not help your body. So that's another thing that was a big turnoff from fans. Okay, and there's one other thing. If you are a fan of the Atlanta Hawks and you knew that the Memphis Grizzlies were in town, just to name a team, and your favorite player per se is, or you want to see Ja Morant, and you spend money to go and see him because he only visits once a season, basically because of the conference splits. Find out he's not playing, you're going to feel a certain way. You spent hundreds of dollars and he's not playing. And it's not because he's hurt. It's because, hey, he just, the team doesn't want to play him. And once again, that's load management. Big turnoff for fans. Now, the next thing is very controversial, but I'm going to say it here. Too much politics. Fans, whether it's right or wrong, they want entertainment, and they go to a game. They don't want to hear any political stuff. They just want entertainment. A lot of fans feel that these games they act as an escape from the real world. And sometimes, and a lot of players in the NBA have done it, they have brought politics to the sport. And it's not a good thing. It's a turnoff to the fans. And I understand why a player will do that, because especially in certain communities, the sports platform is the biggest platform that you have. So if you want to get something out there to the public that is of political nature, you're going to use that sports platform. But the paying customer, and the majority of the paying customers, they are not going to be happy about that. And once again, that is a turnoff. Now, if we bring an example, the NFL tried this a few years ago. If you remember, the Colin Kaepernick, the whole kneeling before the flag, how did that work? Well, how it worked was that when that was going on, the NFL began to lose ratings, began to lose viewers. And this is the NFL we're talking about. And what did Roger Goodell do? He went ahead and he implemented some ground rules, and he did it quickly. He got the owners on board, and he got rid of that, the kneeling. And next thing you know, the ratings go right back up. And that's a big difference between someone like Roger Goodell versus Adam Silver. Roger Goodell, he will protect the shield. That's the saying there. He will protect the shield no matter what. Adam Silver, not so much. And then you have this NBA Cup. And I'm pointing this out here. And the question is, why do we have this NBA Cup? Well, I will tell you why. Because the perception is that the players do not give a damn about the regular season. And you know what? Maybe it's not even a perception. Maybe it's just real. It's how it is. So implement this NBA Cup. Pay the winner $500,000 each. Each teammate gets $500,000. So that'll make everyone play harder for this thing. Newsflash. $500,000 to a lot of these guys is a drop in a bucket. It's nothing. All right. And even the Milwaukee Bucks, who won the cup a couple of days ago, they're like, oh, okay, great. Now I can use this to buy a few things and go on with our lives. They really don't care. The fans don't care about this NBA Cup. Then you have the All-Star Game. The All-Star Game is unwatchable. It really is. Last year, I believe they had a game that finished, the final score was 200 something to 189 or something other. I turned it on. I watched 2 minutes of it, turned it off. Same things. Guys jacking up threes, alley-oop dunks. And the thing is, no defense whatsoever. Zero defense. They're just jogging up back and forth, up and down the court. Awful, 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 awful. So then you have that. And if we think about that there, the All-Star Game, what Adam Silver's trying to do, he's trying a new format where you have, I think, 4 teams, and they are going to do a tournament. Again, who cares about that? there's no tension there. No one cares, right? Because back, not even too long ago, you had players. It's just regular East versus West. So the players back then, the East, they had a pride of themselves. And also the West players too. That, I'm going to beat those guys on the West, right? We're going to beat those guys. We want to let it be known that the best players are in the East. West was feeling the same way. West was like, no, we're the best. All right. So you had that tension there. And nowadays, where everyone's friends, there's no tension there. They're just going out and it's just an exhibition. My idea, what I would do if I was commissioner, I would say, all right, why don't we do the Americans against the world, right? So imagine you have LeBron, Steph, KD, or whoever you want to pick for the American team versus Giannis, Joker, Luka Doncic, right? SGA, Wembanyama, all of those guys, so you have the world guys from other countries versus the American bred folks. That will, in my opinion, create tension because, in my opinion, the world guys, they have that pride to be like, yeah, let's beat down the Americans. We want to prove to the Americans that we are the best players in the world. That you Americans are nothing. And then, to me, I think the Americans will push back and be like, oh no, let's prove to these guys who we are. That the best basketball is played by Americans. So I think that's what they should implement. I think that will be something that fans would get into because I would be curious to watch that. All right. Then the last thing, and I'm sure there's more. I'm sure you guys have more, but this one, flopping. Matter of fact, not only flopping and lack of player toughness. All right. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Bad Boy Pistons back in the late 80s, early 90s. Look, back then, you weren't going to go and dunk on them. You were going to get forearmed or clotheslined by Bill Laimbeer or Rick Mahorn. All right. Even some of those early 90 Knicks teams, you weren't going to, they were going to get physical with you. Those Miami Heat teams, they got physical with you. Okay. Now, I'm not saying to bring things back to that extreme. But goodness gracious, these players, the game now is just so soft. I'm sorry. I watched the game last night between the Philadelphia 76ers and the San Antonio Spurs. And it was Andre Drummond. He was trying to get some position against Victor Wembanyama. When he was getting that position, he knocked Wembanyama down. Technical foul. Okay. So instead of calling a foul, technical foul. Like, oh, wow, okay. All right. So they get back. They do it again. They get ready to get in position to inbound the ball. Wembanyama, he actually flops on the ground. Andre Drummond did not touch him. They called a technical foul on Andre Drummond, which means he got ejected from the game. And they didn't reinstate him back into the game. They had to look at the film. They had to look at the replay. And I'm like, this is a total joke. This is where the NBA has gotten to, where you can't even scheme to put a body on anyone, especially that guy, because that's what I would be doing. I mean, the dude, what, 7'6" and barely weighs 200 pounds? I would get my big man to put a body on him. But you can't even do that. They call everything fouls. So that was a total turnoff to me. Andrew Drummond got back into the game, but still, it was just like, oh, goodness gracious, this is how bad this product has gotten. So we think about the fallout. They've lost a bunch of viewers. I think viewership is down like 48%. I heard. I think, and when I made my other video last month, it was like at 24 at the time, and then it's gone to 48. Not good. I mean, it's bad. All right. And now the league has lost Christmas Day. You remember when Christmas belonged to the NBA and Thanksgiving belonged to the NFL? Well, not anymore. The NFL looked at the NBA and like, oh, look at those ratings. Hey, let's put a couple of games on the NBA Christmas. They're like, well, wait, that's on a Wednesday. Like, we don't care. We're about the money. We're about protecting the shield. Who you think's going to win that ratings war? The NFL is going to win. So they went ahead and took Christmas Day from the NBA. Once again, this is all on your watch. Now, one thing I want to mention, and I think this is very important, is that because the league isn't getting as many viewers as it used to, doesn't mean that it isn't popular. Okay? See, people care about their favorite player as opposed to the team. You know, so because the league markets players, people are like, hey, you know, I don't care so much about the team or the wins or losses. I want to follow my player. And I don't care about the win. I care about my player's stat line. So once again, someone who likes Ja Morant, he doesn't care about the Memphis Grizzlies. He just cares about Ja Morant's stat line. How did Ja Morant do? And these fantasy leagues have a big play in that. And it's just the way it is. So instead of watching the game on TV, you can see the outcome you want via social media. So I think that's a big factor in how these ratings are going for the NBA. So I think we need to keep that in mind. So those are my takes. You know, how's Adam Silver going to deal with this dilemma? And, you know, I'll admit there's no easy fix at all, but he's going to have to make some positive changes. That new $76 billion television deal that he has, well, it runs out in 11 years. And believe it or not, those things go by quickly. And when negotiations with these media companies come up again, the NBA isn't going to get anything close to what they have unless drastic changes are made. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hey, I'm wishing all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Take care.